morning. This is Navy Old Salt Gamer. So, I've determined that the asteroid map is currently not doable. I restarted it, and I went to an asteroid, and I built a base on it. I had a map that had like 4 asteroids around it, and I exited the game, and I went back into the game, and the asteroid that I built my base on was still there, but everything else was gone. So they got to fix the asteroids in that base. So they either move on occasion, so you get some different ones, or there's more of them. It's just not playable. The asteroid that I built the base on had some ores, but it didn't have much at all. It wouldn't have been enough. So it's just not playable right now, in my opinion, the asteroid map. So I had to change. I had to give up on that. So I'm going to just do a fun game since I did brutal Vulcan the last time. I'm going to wait till my wife is done opening the garage door. Okay. So let's get this started. And this is a voiceover again. So I'm going to do Mars. Kind of boring Mars, but I'm going to try and make this one fun. I'm going to do what I wanted to do in that one, but on Mars. So I'm doing Mars for fun. And here we go. I'm going to try and set this up at like high speed, just for the fun of it. Let's see how far I can get in this episode. And I do make a couple mistakes in this one. It's silly little ones, but it's so nice after brutal Vulcan to be able to do things and take my time. Gotta find my construction supplies. Oh, I think nope, there it is. And of course, I always have to use the jetpack because it's always the highest. And I'm going to grab them all the frames and all the walls that I can. I'm going to set up not a starter base here. I'm actually going to, well, it is a starter base, but I'm going to use up most of the supplies that they give me. And I can put that, there we go. I'm going to try and find a nice flat spot. Yeah, here's pretty good. Walls, frames. Put that up there. So I'm going to go 4 wide. And I think 7 long, which is a big starter base, but after Vulcan, it's nice to take your time and do what you want to do a little bit. Four, 5, counting in my head here as I'm doing this. And then I'm noticing, well, there's a big hole here. Well, if I come in at that angle, I'm going to fall into a pit. So that's unfortunate, but I'll have to fix that later. So we go 4 by 7. Let's weld this up here. Trying to think where I can start. Oh, I put the walls up first. That's kind of backwards, but eh. So we'll play Girder Walker here and walk. Oh, just fell to my death. So as you see, I'm going to make a 5 by 4 interior room. I don't know why I didn't do the floor first. It would have made it easier. But I'm used to playing not easy after brutal with Vulcan, so what the heck? Walking on girders is nothing. I'm actually doing pretty good at it here. Oh well. There we go. I think the whole thing is basically enclosed. That's where I'm going to put. I'm trying to make all the walls the same direction. I usually have walls mismatched. I'm being a little bit more careful this time. So now I decided to do the floor. Which this is the inside. Now I do mining in this episode, but I start it and then I cut it out because I know mining can get boring, but I do that twice in this episode. But this is still setting up the base. Mars is kind of a fun planet to play. It's especially after a hard episode. This is a good environment, especially if you're just starting the game. This is kind of a fun one. You can do a lot of neat stuff on Mars. It's kind of a forgiving place. If you use a lot of windows in your base, notice I didn't put any windows in. If you use a lot of windows, it can heat up pretty fast because of the greenhouse effect. So I usually don't, not on my main floor anyway. So this is going to be my outside area. I am not going to, in this round, I'm not going to put my manufacturing stuff outside. I'm going to put it on the inside. That's why I didn't make too big of an area there. Putting up my walls. I use a lot more walls now. I used to frame all this out. Walls have their advantages, and they're not as much as a disadvantage now since a patch where they let you mount things to them. One of the reasons I didn't use them is it limited what you could mount on them, but that has changed. And just about, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think everything that you can mount on a frame now, you can mount on a wall. So I didn't bother to use too many frames. It's a lot cheaper to use a wall. Well, these came with it, but when you manufacture walls, it's 1 by, I think, 4 iron. So if you can use a wall and have the same effect now, I'll just use an iron wall. Now here, I got tired in some previous games of running back and forth to the lander, so I'm just unloading everything on my front. Just so I don't, I only have to run back and forth once instead of, well, once for each case, instead of multiple times to grab things that I want out of the crate. So, you want to get that, there we go. So I'm piling all these up on the outside, so I don't have to worry about this anymore. Of course, this takes a few minutes, but like I said, I'm trying to see how far I can get in one episode. I think this episode ends right at the beginning of day 3, and I got pretty far. So this went pretty well. I'm going to try a lot of harder things on this planet. We'll see what happens. A lot more atmospheric stuff and trickier stuff. I think this is going to be a longer episode. If you do want to watch, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Lets me know. A lot of times I stop series when I get a minimal amount of views on it, because I'm trying to entertain people. And coming from Brutal Vulcan, having a tank of water, it's like, oh, look at this, a tank of water. And on the asteroid map, he gets, I think it was 16, maybe 17 liters of water total. So they do give you a lot of liquid volatiles and liquid oxygen, which doesn't make any sense either. I mean, what are you going to do with the liquid stuff? You can build a rocket, but then if you don't have any asteroids with a source of copper, you run out of copper before you can complete the asteroid or the rocket. It's kind of silly. It's unfortunate that they haven't taken care of that map. I was wondering why not many people were playing it. There's hardly any videos lately. So I said, well, let's try it. And it's just unfortunate that it's not playable. And you don't get anything from doing this, but it's out of the way. Poof. And I have a fuel tank there, which I got to take care of. And I can't get into my lander because there's a hole in the front. I had to jump. Take the food out of there. It's all that's in the lander. Poof. Now I'm stuck. There's no escaping Mars. Now it's getting dark, and now I don't have any lights on, so I have to be really careful. Once it gets dark, it really gets dark, and I don't want to bring that inside, so I set that to fuel tank. I'd rather not have that inside. So here we go. Now I got all this stuff in front of me. I can start moving things inside, and that's all I do here to chuck everything in there so I know where it's at. And then I get rid of the crates. And I could put that. Pick that back up, I think, yeah. And I can drop some of the extra stuff in my inventory. I leave that just in case I go mining, because I do have a tracker somewhere. And if I go, that'll allow me to go mining at night. There's the auto lathe. I don't want that. I do want that. And I don't want that. So, let's clear the way. Chuck those over to the side. Chuck that over to the side. I never use that thing. Very, very rarely. Ooh, can't talk this morning. All right, so what's next? Electrical supplies. Okay, so solid generator. Yeah, I'll probably use that a little bit here at the beginning because you get one solar panel. That doesn't give you a ton of power. And I'm thinking, okay, so if I run the solar down from there, I could put that there, and one on the inside, so I can kind of separate the inside and the outside a little bit. That'll work to start with. And we could set the generator up nearby. It worked out that the power was actually facing the correct way. So that worked pretty well. And the auto lathe, like I said, I'm putting everything inside, and I put the oxygen tank in the way. So we got to move that. And I'm going to try to keep this evenly spaced. So 1, 2. And I'm not worried about building it quite yet. And we'll open that up. Drop one of them batteries in there. And we'll open this up, drop the other battery in that one. And now I think we're going to set up the one solar panel I have. I'll put that on the roof. Facing, oop, I missed it. Facing that way, there we go. Now you start with 100 cables, but you certainly don't want to waste the cables. But, I mean 100 cables goes pretty far when you're setting up a base. So you keep it in mind that, yeah, I don't want to waste cables, but not that big of a deal because you go mining this copper, putting copper around, you can mine that and get it. But I'm going to run that into my, and that into that. Of course you need the clippers. turn that on. So now when the sun comes out, that'll start charging. So that part is pretty much good to go. Now I screw this up. There's one of the things that I make a little mistake at. I have to fix later. So it's kind of fun to do a voiceover because you could point out all the dumb things you do. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good position. Well, if I leave it like that and I wire it up, well, look where it's wired up on. It's on the wrong side of the power controller, but oh well, I fix it later. It looked good. Alright, so what's next to unload here? What am I doing? Drop a couple things. Don't need those. Alright, that is airlock supplies. Sure, I can open that one. I need that. Need that. Now, this is Mars, so I don't wire this up until I print out an advanced airlock, because I do not want to suck pollutants into my building every time I open and close the doors. And that's what happens if you don't have an advanced airlock on Mars, because it doesn't pump out the outside air first before it opens up the room. So every time you, if you don't have an advanced airlock, every time you do this, you'll bring a little bit of pollutants, a little bit of volatiles, and a little bit of everything from the outside air into the room, and that's why I throw the airlock card away, because I don't want an airlock card. I'm eventually going to make a advanced airlock. And the doors. So composite doors always work best. You can wire nice and close to them, easy to build, and that crate's empty. So there we go. 2 crates done. Get rid of that one. I could have stacked it with the other one, but I just chucked it. Hydroponic supply, sure. Alright. And if I don't do this correct a couple times, I replace things with other things. There, I did it again. And I did it again. I'll take everything but the seeds because my hands get full. I'm going to just set that up right over by the water tank. This is a pretty good spot for it, actually. And I'll just set 5 of them up right next to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. It's actually a pretty good setup. Now I'll set the water filler. Nope, I'll set it up there. And then I might as well just set everything up. I don't use it yet, but why not set it up? Perfect. Alright, so I know there's water in that. 12 liters. Put that in there. And this works out pretty well. Lines right up. I didn't know you could do this, but it didn't red out. So I put it right up against the hydroponics. I was like, oh, it's going to let me do that? Okay. So I didn't even have to use a pipe there. No tough of an angle here. And we'll mount that. There we go. And I think, eventually checked it just to make sure that the water did go in there. And there's that wired up, or piped up, ready to go. Got 17 extra pipes. I hardly used any pipes. Pretty economical way of doing it. This is where I said it did fill it, right? Got 41 liters of liquid and 60 in there, so that's a lot of water for a starter. Now, as I'm mining the first time, I find water ice everywhere, so even if I didn't have that, again, power over the 4th one makes you able to do 21 different hydroponics with one grill light. If you put the power connection over top, the fourth from either side, and you can do 7 or 3 rows of 7. So you get 21 hydroponics with 1 grow light. That's the max you can get, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so there's another. Well, I could have grabbed that charger. I don't know why I didn't. I thought I'd grab them. I don't know. Why didn't I grab that charger? Here's where I start stacking these. I'm like, well, I might as well. There's the charger. I didn't grab it. It just fell on the ground. I didn't notice that until now. And I'll just take these boxes. This has got miscellaneous stuff in it. Some stuff I'll use, some stuff I won't. Obviously, the food I will. I don't want flags. That thing scares the daylights out of if you pick it up out of a crate. It goes, you think you shot it when you actually didn't. I don't know why they do that. It gives you a heart attack. And just drop all these boxes. And now I am making a mess in my room, but that's okay. Everything's inside. I think day 6 is when you get your first storm. I don't want the flags. We'll put the tracker in here. So I try to throw the flags. It doesn't work. I'm like, I hit the crate with it. I'm like, ah, crap. Oh, well. So clean up that crate. Bring that inside. It's actually worked pretty well. Unloading everything to start. So now I'm setting things up the way I like them. And I am already thirsty. Already power low. I don't know at this point if I actually do anything about that. Get rid of the mining pick. Never use it. You probably shouldn't get rid of that until the first time that you mine. In hindsight. So here's where I start. I probably cut most of this out. I don't know exactly when there we go. So you can see my ore. I've got a whole mining trip in there. There's my mining pick. I could not find much copper, so I wanted to get back before it got dark. But I really wanted more copper, and I'm looking around in a vain attempt around my base before the sun sets to find copper. Now I only got 21, which is okay, but you need a lot more than that, obviously. I found some oxide. I could have dropped the 2 oxide, I guess. And the 3. Well, the 3 is up top, but I didn't see how it gets dark. There's more oxide, and, you know, watch it as the sun goes behind her. You can see how fast it gets dark really fast. You can see how the building disappears, and it was right in front of me for a little bit. And I didn't turn the tracker on. I should have turned the tracker on, and I didn't. But I got a good bit of mining. Here's where I say, okay, so let's turn this on. What's wrong here? The power's up. Oh, you idiot. Oh, well. Now I gotta open up things that I closed while I was mining. It's right there in front of you. You want the drill, not the wrench. Or the clippers, whatever you're trying to get here. And then I couldn't get to the wire for some reason. I had to crawl around. There we go. So I wanted to wire that back up. And then I need to move that. So I kind of like where it's at. So we'll just move it over. That's a good spot for it. Now I can just wire it correctly. And I can get to work with my smelting. Not too big of a deal, just kind of something I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. That's another good thing about wires. You could just, or walls, you could just stick pipes and wires through the walls. Or if it's a frame, you could put it in one side. But then of course, you have to go through the frame, so you have to take the frame apart to get to it. So now that they've eliminated what I considered the penalty of frames, I use them a lot more. Or the penalty of iron walls. And I got my first ore, so I'm just going to chuck it right there. And time to assemble that, because I got to make my electronics printer and my other printer. This as fast as I can. I've gotten pretty good at assembling these things. Pretty easy. Screwdriver next. Okay, so that's done. I'll put that away, put that away. Put that in there. I gotta wire it up yet. Everything's good. I can make it from there. Drop some of this stuff. Oh, time to drink. Now I have to do the pop the helmet thing here because my atmosphere isn't set up quite yet. Let me do this as fast as I can.
Pressure critical. Oxygen
I forgot
critical.
what the key was to open the helmet. I have to relook at that. I couldn't remember what the key was. I had to do it manually, which takes a little bit longer. And let myself recover. Switch it to the food. And this goes a little faster than the water.
Temperature low. Pressure critical.
There we go.
Oxygen critical.
Drop that. Now I did get 51 coal. So I can charge my batteries with the solid fuel generator, so I wasn't too worried about the power load, although it's at 18%. I probably forgot about that. But it's not an issue at this point. Force hose open, not wired up yet. Empty some hands, run out here and do some more. It's always a toss-up whether you want to do the copper or the gold next, because gold takes forever, but you need both, so it doesn't really matter. Gold in the arc furnace goes slow, really slow, and then when you put it in a regular furnace, it takes half the time. Or not even half the time, it goes really fast. So there, that's wired up. I was thinking of wiring that up, the water, but I was like, yeah, I don't need that yet. You just see, there's gold takes forever. Then I finally found the charger, which I'll just put right next to. Now I don't want it at this point taking from my solar panel because I only got one solar panel and I really need that to charge the batteries or the power controllers, not the battery charger. And we'll throw the and I thought I turned it on, but apparently I turned it off because it's not charging. Even though I thought I turned it on, it wasn't on. Not a big deal. All right, so now I'm actually thinking, what can I do for a little bit? Because I got to smelt the gold and the copper. And well, I need to wire that up. So I'll run the wire, because I've got to run a wire up here for all the other manufacturing printers. So we'll just run that up there. And we'll take it to this frame and we'll run it across to my water filler, which I don't need now, but I'm at the point where I can't do anything until keeping my wire stack full. Can't do anything until I get the ores anyway. Don't need that wired up. Don't need data out of that for any reason. There we go. Now that's wired. Don't need any. They actually didn't give me a ton of water bottles. Well, maybe they did. Can't remember right now. So I'm tired of waiting for the. I could have just left it go for a few more, but I need copper, and I want to get these things started. So run back in here, stuff that in
Power
there.
critical.
Now my battery's hollering at me, so we'll swap that around. There, I realized it wasn't on. I turned it on. Now I am starting to use that battery pretty quick because it's charging the other batteries. So I think I throw 10 coal into the 10 coal into the generator to give my batteries a little bit of a spike. Once I make steel, I'll make a station battery and use the, until I get enough solar panels and stuff, I'll use the solid pole generator to charge up the station battery, which lasts a lot longer. One of the problems with walls is when you embed something in it, you can't see the wire hookups. You have to go above or just know where it's at. But, like I said, the advantages still far outweigh the disadvantages. And I'm still playing with that stupid switch. I don't know why. Copper's done. So let's throw some iron in there. Could have put the rest of the gold in there, but oh well. But that'll give me enough to where I can finally make an electronics printer. Get that set up. Very slow. You can start that and walk away and do other stuff because it takes forever. But that got the battery up there a little bit. And I'm just straightening up my inventory a little bit. Okay, so let's finish off the gold stack. Yeah. Let's bring that inside. That should just about be done. I'm thinking. Nope. 34%. I'm like, dang, that's slow. And I see dawn's coming, so I got mining on my brain because I want to get more copper. I need to find copper because I only had 21 copper, and that is not enough to start with. And I figured, well, I might as well refill my air tank.
Air tank critical.
I want to dump my waste tank, but that's not too big of a deal. I can't do that yet because I don't want to waste that CO2 while I need it eventually. And I'm thinking, well, go do some mining. That has 2 left, so I decide to wait. And I'm waiting. This is how slow gold is. And I'm waiting. Here we go. Don't really need silicone yet, but I wanted to get rid of that stack, so I could have dropped the extra stacks in here and made more room for myself. And I'm like, oh, well, that was pretty good timing. So we'll do the pipe bender. Start that. Make sure I only get 1. For some reason, this wouldn't go the right way. I don't know why I had to back up to get it to go in the correct way and then go in. So 1, 2. Here we go. That's all I wanted to do. Time to go find some copper. Bring that down. Difference between Mars and Vulcan, you can mine during the day. You can't do that. Well, you can if you want to kill yourself on Vulcan, especially in a brutal setting. So I'm just cruising around real quick here. I don't pause it till I start mining because I don't know. I don't want you to think I'm cheating, I guess. But you can watch the time. I mine most of the day here, I think. Once I find some copper, copper. Now keep in mind I am colorblind, so there we go. And there we go. So I got, what do I got? 152 copper. So that was a good copper run. And I got a few, mostly copper. I did almost all copper that night. A few iron. Probably was sitting right in front of me. Ooh, battery's almost dead. I think I threw 15 in this one. Maybe just 10. Just 10. So, you know, with things running, like the arc furnace and stuff, that one solar panel is just not going to cut it. You have to kind of expect that. And it should be charging now, it is. So let's make some more copper. And this is now day 2. I could set this up. 1, 2. I leave 2 in there so I can set a stacker, and that's kind of a common practice. Eventually I'll put a stacker in there so I don't have to take things out one at a time. And we'll make both of these at the same time. Boom, boom. Turn that over. Grab the plastic sheets. Boom. Boom. This is one of the reasons I didn't want to close the room out, because you weld inside your room, guess what? Makes it really hot, releases pollutants, and you just ruined your atmosphere. So it's better to have your basics, if you don't put them outside, better to have these set up before you can close your room. So now, just to save a little power, and now I'm ready to enclose my room, because, well, basically it's all done except, and this is why I like composite doors. Now, if you use, and I'll show you, it'll come into play here in a couple seconds. If you use certain doors, you can't put wires along the edge of the door. Now with composite, see, I couldn't put a wire there with a lot of the doors. Now with composite doors, you can do that. And it makes it so much easier. And let's bring that in here. Make a 4 there. Crossed, make a T. Crossed. Single it up. Wire that in, wire that in. So the doors are now wired. Boom. I should have power theoretically to the doors now. And I do. So now I want to empty this because I need my advanced airlock. And you notice I only have 1 copper left after making them. That's why I was so desperate for copper. 1 copper left after making that. I need the copper, so I dump it and restart it. After making my manufacturing devices, but here we go. So now I've got enough copper. I can make my advanced airlock. Oh, start with solar? I do start with solar. I think I'll make 4 of those. 3 or 4. And more copper. I'm going to waste my time doing 2 right now. 35. Holding kind of steady because of the sun, but I'm not getting much charge at that angle, that's for sure. This battery's okay. And I figure I'll put that back in there, make sure that's charged. Two more copper, might as well. There's 1 solar panel. Now this is a terrible angle to put this, but I was looking at the sun. I said, well, it looks at this time of the year I can get half decent at that angle. These are only temporary until I get steel anyway, as the main power source. And of course I wasted the whole day mining, so I'm not going to get much charge out of these today. what I was looking around for. And we'll bring the wire up. I could have come across. Probably would have cost me the same in copper. I'm checking because that wire kind of looked like it wasn't at the right angle. But it was. And I'm getting, I think, you can look real quick there. I think it was like 100 currently from it. So, it was working. But now it's dark, so it doesn't matter anyway. And we'll put 2 more up here. 1 there. And 1 there. So that'll help with my solar power. Not significantly. You can use wind turbines on Mars. They only work moderately well. They don't give you a whole ton of power. If you get storms, it'll work real well. But it's not much air blowing on Mars, so I don't know. I guess people have different viewpoints of that. At the beginning of the game, I just don't see the benefit of using upright wind turbines, other than cost and ore maybe. Oh, it's time to charge this up again. Let's do half a stack. I'm pretty low, and it's dark, so it's not going to be charging. Another stack of copper. I don't know why I didn't put it in there when I was out there. That should be raising now. Iron goes fast, so I figure I'll throw the iron in there. Is this where I make the advanced airlock? Probably. Yes. Okay. Run out here. You gotta keep smelting, so not sure what I'm looking at. Just get rid of another miscellaneous stack of ores. That printed out really fast. Let's stick that in there. Okay, so now I need the pipe bender. I gotta move everything to the pipe bender. I'm trying to save as much power as I can here because my batteries are a little sapped because it's nighttime. So I need 2 vents. I need an active and a passive vent. And here's another silly mistake I make. I'm printing out the active vent, and I print out the passive vent. And I turn that off. Let's see if you can see where I make my mistake here. That's a passive vent. That's a passive vent, Steve. Passive vent. You don't want the passive vent. You want the active vent. I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this, make sure there's nothing in the way there. But that's the passive vent. I put it on backwards and I didn't even notice. There is where the passive vent is supposed to go. That is the active vent. And I even go as far to stick the pipe up there. And then go down here and start naming things. And I don't notice it's the passive vent until I go to name it. And it won't let me name it because you can't name a passive vent. So, exterior door. And you could number these. I mean, I'm not too concerned about that. If you have, later on in the game, if you have multiple airlocks, that could get confusing, but I like to isolate my airlocks either with a transformer or a, here's where I'm like, why won't it let me name it? And then I'm like, you idiot. to go down and get a wrench. And I gotta swap that with that and do this correctly. Now the pipe's up there, so it pops right into place. There we go. Stupidity fixed. Now I can name that the exterior active vent. Missed an R. And the airlock gas sensor. And that should be everything. Except one thing. Let's do the gas sensor. The exterior door. And at this point I'm looking at this thinking something is missing. I didn't wire the airlock. Kind of a necessity. Or wire the active vent. And I got 2 cables left. Now, did that come down inside? It did. Isn't that nice? And no, I don't have any cables. So now, there you go. I used 99 of my 100 cables. So they do go pretty fast. Oh, I gotta make some cables. And I only make some because I'm still thinking I can't use my copper because I was so low on copper in the asteroid one that I haven't overcome the fear of using too much copper. But I've got quite a bit of copper right now. Need the clippers. Okay, so that's wired up. I'm like, oh God, I'm putting out all these cables. I can't do that. And about here I'm thinking, well, yeah, I can, but oh well. And I also noticed that now that I selected the doors, they don't operate, or they don't light up. So there's the interior door, interior active vent, exterior, interior, and then I set these to 0 because that's the way I like it. There is something I should have done first, and I did mess up a little bit here. Nothing major. I should have emptied the room of any pressure, and I did not.
Power low.
So this is going to have a little bit of pollutants and stuff in it. So that is one mistake I made. Nothing that's going to hurt anything. So now I'm going to pressurize my room, and it would have been a lot better to do this during the day. Because now I'm dropping the ice, it's not melting. I look down, it's minus 49 in the room. Now, I released this because I had to anyway. But in hindsight, I should have vented my exhaust tank first. Because that has warm air in it. That probably would have been enough to melt the ice. I should have done that first. And I did not. And it's still minus 20 in here, and the ice is still not melting. Now, I could always make an atmospheric and take this oxygen back out of the room. And there's also ice oxide everywhere on Mars, so it's not that big of a deal. But I like to do things on the easy planets smartly like I would on the harder planets because it gets you in the habit of doing things the right way. So now I'm at 1. That's starting to melt. I dropped the other one. That one disappeared right away. So now I can shut this off because I think it'll stay high enough to melt the rest of that. And of course I go the wrong way and I'm like, no. And 5 degrees, 4 degrees. But there we go. And now I think, oh, I could have emptied that into the room. So there we go. I got 38 kilopascals. I can now breathe, although it's incredibly dark in here. I'm thinking, well, I have to pick up stuff, and actually then I look down and say, well, I got 2 in my inventory. I don't have to pick up stuff. So now I make it dark again. And I fill up with water. And I fill up with food. And put the soup back on. Make it some light in here. And there we go. Battery's fully charged. So I swap that out. I don't know what the battery outside looks like. So there we go. It just switched to day 3. So I got my interior base all set up in 3 days, which is pretty good. And we'll keep going from there. I have a lot of plans for this one. We'll see how it works out. Let me know what you think. Again, Navy Old Salt Gamer, please subscribe and like, and we'll see you soon.